Compliance Officer. Welcome, ma'am, and it's over to you now.
Thank you so much, Braganza, for giving me this opportunity. First and foremost, I would like to thank IIHM for giving me this opportunity to speak on this platform and to express my views on the banking financial help or assistance which can be provided for budding entrepreneurs. I would just like to add that all the views and opinions which are expressed here are in my individual capacity and do not reflect any official policy or any position of any organization. So it gives me immense pleasure to know and to speak about budding entrepreneurship. For all of you who know this, India has the third largest base in the world for a startup. So whenever you talk about startup, you have a lot of ideas, passions, dedications, which come forth to your mind. But what is the major requirement is finance. And that would probably not be easily available to every person in their individual capacity. To build and focus these dreams into reality, everybody needs finance. And how do you go about it? Well, as an individual, you have three options. One, you do your own funds. Second, you look out for loans from any banks or from any financial institutions. Third, you have an option of raising them through an IPO. So let's look at all the three options. The first option is own funds. Whenever an individual has their own funds, it's the best option. Why? There is no need for a repayment to look back on. You are the creator of your own funds, and you can utilize it to the benefit of what you deem fit. And there is no tension on, I have to make these payments at this intervals, regular intervals. So that is one of the best options. But of course, for that, you need to be born rich, which is not, there with everybody. So you have another option, which is an IPO, wherein you'd come out with an IPO and you get the funding from the market. However, for that IPO, your business needs to be well established and you need to have a market capitalization of more than 10 crores. So we are looking at the other option, which is a financing from the banks or financing from different organizations or institutions, borrowing basically. When you look at borrowing as an individual, you think there are two options. What kind of borrowing do individuals have? One is whether it is a secured loan or whether it's an unsecured loan. So what is a secured loan and what is an unsecured loan? Secured loan is where you have a collateral to back on. Collateral in the banking terms, in finance terms, is that a collateral is any asset having a measurable financial value that one can borrow against. Say, for example, your property or your vehicle. Okay, so you have your loan against property, loan against vehicle, where you can pledge your property, where you can pledge your vehicle and borrow funds against that. In case you are not, and you have your repayment schedules on this on a timely basis. However, if an individual is not able to make these payments in time, this vehicle or the property is then pledged back from the organization where you have borrowed the loan. So that is where you're talking about your secured borrowing. This other kind of borrowing that you're talking about is your unsecured borrowing, where there is no collateral. There is no financial backing which you have and you want to borrow a loan from the organization. So the question that pops up to your mind is, can an individual get access to such kind of loans? I do not have any collateral, but still will I get a loan, and a loan of a higher amount? Say maybe 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, is it possible to do so? And the answer is yes. Yes, as an individual, you can do that. Because the government of India is today looking at a lot of startups to come up. The government is looking at bright ideas, putting forth into reality and looking for a better prospects of the economy. If these ideas turn into reality, it will help build the economy. So that is the kind of support the government itself is giving financially to these individuals. So your question is, okay, the government is doing all this. How can I get access to this? How can I qualify for a business loan? To qualify for a business loan, what is the requirement for an individual? I have a business idea in mind. Will that help? One of the major requirements for a business loan is that you must have a business proposal. You must have a business model in mind, and not just have it in mind, have it properly drafted, have it properly framed. You must have your promoter's background. Whoever are the promoting the business must have a financial background. There has to be a revenue model. Sales evaluate estimate should be there, and looking at revenue growth, profits that will eventually come forth in future. Once you have this business proposal in mind, that helps you to qualify. What is the other points for qualification of for a business loan is that you need to be of a major, you need to be about 18 years of age, you need to have a credit score. Every individual can also have a credit score checked online through your CIBIL score. So if I have my CIBIL score checked, I'll know that how am I ranked on my credit score, and will this help me to get a business loan for my business venture. What are the valid documents one person has? If a valid documents is very essential that a person must have to go apply for a business loan. Valid documents in terms of your ID proof, address proof, this is a very important requirement that person needs to have. What is your loan amount? I must have a loan amount requirement. This would not necessarily depend just on me. It should also be depending upon how much the financial lender is willing to give to the individual. What are the other things that you need to look at in a business loan? This is how you qualify. Okay, now I have qualified for applying for a business loan. I have all the required documents. I have my business plan. I have all this with me, and I want to apply for a loan. How do I now go about it? So there are different ways in which you can apply for a business loan. Today, when we are talking about a digital world, there are a lot of things which are going online. So you can apply for these loans online as well. There are various schemes of the government which are floating on. And if you look at it and see your requirements, accordingly, you can apply for these loans. I'll just give you a brief in-depth of, what are these schemes that the government is floating, or how then you can go about applying for these loans. So there are a few schemes of the government where it is helping you to turn these ideas into reality. Like, for example, you have the Mudra loan. Okay, this is one of the major promoters of the government loans. This Mudra is a micro units development and refinance agency. Okay, this is categorized under 3 categories. This loan scheme is under 3 categories, which is for small amounts and the bigger higher amounts. It is under Shishu category, which is up to a loan sanction up to 50,000. Then Kishore category, which is sanctioned up to 5 lakhs, and a Tarun category, which is sanctioned a loan up to 10 lakhs. So here you're getting an idea that I'm not having any collateral with me, yet I can get a business loan for even a small amount up to 50,000 to a maximum amount of 10 lakhs. Okay, this helps you. It is not just for any individual who's having a business plan, even for your small entrepreneurship which is there, you can apply for these loans. These are there are other categories also, other schemes of the government also, which will help you to avail of these loans, which is your CGS, which is your credit guarantee scheme, wherein you have a maximum loan of around 1 crore, which is for 5 years. You have your bank credit facility scheme, which is for 5 to 7 years. You have your Koir Udyani Yojana, which is your maximum limit of up to 10 lakhs, and your NABARD scheme. So here we are looking at different schemes of the government, basis your business, role, your business proposal, your business model that you have, and you will see how it will benefit you. So you have your business plan in mind. You have your options which are available to you. Yes, I can apply to this category. This is where we are talking about your without any collateral, that I can apply for a loan. I will also talk later on for loans with collateral basis. So then I now say, how do I apply for a loan? You need to submit these documents online. Okay. Once you go online, you can go to select the scheme, and you'll have to submit this document. You need to submit your personal background details, which is there, your business background details, your business planning, personal and business tax returns, your financial statements, your legal documents. Whatever collateral if a person has, it will help you strengthen strengthen the loan, and you will get a bigger amount of the loan. So like I said, here we have two types of loan, where you're in without collateral and with collateral. But if you have a collateral backing to support you, it will help you to get a higher amount of loan. But without a collateral also, this is possible. It is not that it is not possible. There is ways in which it can be done. Here we have seen about how you have started your business plan. You have your necessary qualifications. You have your everything with you in hand. You have all your documents and everything with you. Then you're going to apply in a loan. You're going to select a loan. Which is the loan category I must look for now? Okay. Okay, I've got the loan. I have so many options with me. When you have so many options, you need to see which one is most suited to your requirement. Okay. So first and very important is you check the interest rate. Okay. Business loans, when we are talking about what is the interest rate, it is around 17% to around 20-21%. It can vary depending upon your business model, depending upon your collateral, depending upon your financial background. But roughly, like I said, it comes to around 17 to 21%. So you have to ensure that the interest rates are kept to the minimum, because if they are kept for your minimum, it becomes much more easier for repayment, because your business will incur expenses. During these expenses, you are also paying part of the loan. So whatever profits you are earning has to go towards repayment of this loan. You have to see which bank or which institution is right for you. If in case you're already having an account with specific banks, it would help you, because those banks already have your existing details. So submission of these documents would not be required additionally. So if these documents are already submitted and already in the bank's records, it will help them, and they will be able to get a financial background of you. You can always also check your online eligibility through your online application. If I'm a customer of any bank, seeing my banking records, if I have a banking account records for a decade or a couple of years, the bank gets to know my financial background, and accordingly they will give me a business loan eligibility. So that is already predetermined. Once that is predetermined, it becomes more easier, rather than for me to approach any other organization which does not have any idea of my financial background. Okay. So that makes more sense for me to apply to a bank wherein I'm already banking with. You have to select or choose the correct tenure for a business loan. When you're choosing the tenure, you have to pay. You'll have to remember that the tenure must be for a shorter duration. Why you ask for a shorter duration? Because if it's for a longer duration, you will have to pay a much more higher rate of interest. Of course, it does depend upon your repaying capacity. So you have to consider these aspects when you're choosing your tenure. Initially, maybe yes, you would want to choose a longer tenure, because you do not know how your business is going to run initially, because it depends upon a lot of factors, market conditions, the economy, the customers, all these factors are there. So you may not be in a position to timely judge what would be your benefits and what would be your repaying capacity. So you have to decide and choose your tenure. You need to select a bank where there is minimum of documentation. Your documentation must be proper. Okay. uh, so minimal documentation I meant is that already if the bank has these records, then the documentation becomes minimal. But if you do not have these records, then the documentation is asked for. Which are the documents which are asked for? They normally ask for your IT returns, last year's IT returns, last year's 2 years IT returns. They ask you for your bank statements. They ask you for the balance sheet, the profit and loss statement of your business, your address proof, your ID proof. These are all the documents which they would be asking for. Here we have got, so now we have thought about, we have started to look at all these aspects of applying to you. What are the, this is from our end. Now from the bank's end, let us look out is what does the bank provide us, and where are the fees and charges which get levied to the customer. Is that the only interest rate repayment which I have to pay? If I'm going for a business loan, sometimes when you go, you see there are other extra charges which are there, and you may realize that these charges were not told to me. So you need to understand that it is not just the interest rate charges which is there. Okay, there are other charges also. Every organization will be very clear in what is the interest rate charges, and what charges are also going to occur to the individual. It may not just be there are foreclosure charges, there are processing charges, there are documentation charges, but this is all clearly mentioned in the document when the individual applies for the loan. It's very important that an entrepreneur who's applying for this loan has to go through these charges and understand these charges. So charges would be your interest rate. Like I told you, the interest rate would vary depending upon individual, the business model, but the interest rates are around 18% to 21%. There are some processing fees which are there, which is 2% of the loan amount normally which they take. These are also depending upon organizations and banks, so it is around 2% of the loan amount. uh, then there is also a penal interest charged by some banks, wherein if in case you are not making the payment on a monthly basis, on a regular basis, some of the charges penal interest rate is approximately around 2% as well. Is there any documentation charge for online upload of documents? Also there are some charges which are there, which would probably be 50 rupees per letter, per statement which is uploaded. Then these are the charges. There are also foreclosure charges which is there. What is a foreclosure charge? A foreclosure charge is if in case I want to repay my loan on an urgent basis or a needy basis. Say my business is doing very well and I have earned extra profits. I don't need to maintain the loan. I don't need to pay this regular interest payment on a timely basis. I can foreclose the loan and not have this payment of this interest. So I'll be paying for, but however, the foreclosure charges normally come, sometimes some banks charge maybe 2%, 4%, 5%, it varies. So this is on the outstanding amount that the bank is charging, you're paying this foreclosure charge on the charges. Uh, this is where we are talking, I have also spoken about now, is the bank's interest charges, bank payment charges. Okay. uh, what this is where we are talking about is for your, say, I have discussed on your loans which is on a without any collateral. Now when we are discussing about loans with a collateral basis, so you already have an existing business, your business is running, your business is doing well. Okay. But a company can grow very little only with limited funds. As a company grows, you need significant amount of funds. For what you need these funds? You need to have a larger premises. You need modern technology, which is there. You need to pay and engage skilled workers, which is there. All these requires additional funds. That's when you look at a business loan. Here you are already having your existing business. It is running well, it is doing well, but you want to improvise on it, and hence you need more funds. Then you look out for your business loan. The business loan, like I mentioned, becomes more easier because you're already banking with the organization, you're banking with the institution, and then you're applying for a business loan. So these loans, banks would welcome such business loans because it is a source of revenue generation for them. They would, obviously help you and assist you with this. But how would they supplement all this? How would they grant this loan to you? Is because you need to have all your documents in place. You need, since you're already an existing customer with the bank, you have your KYC documents. Okay, that is your ID proof, address proof, your institutional proof. Say, for example, if you're a skilled professional, you need to have your registration certificate. If you're like, for example, you're a doctor, you need to have your license for uh, processing your documents. So these are your for your skilled professionals. If in case it is you are not having these, if in case you're not a self professional, then you are running your self-employed business, you're starting your business. There are different kinds of self-employed business. You have your partnership, you have your proprietorship, you have a private limited company. All these is when you're running all this, you need to have documents which is available already with the bank. Once you approach the bank in that capacity of a self-employed or of a self-individual, the bank will scrutinize whatever documents they have and your proposal for the business loan, and accordingly they will basis your requirement, basis your paying capacity, that would be sanctioned. This is where your the bank helps you to enable or grow your business in that. In these cases, they check out your balance sheet, your profit and loss statements, and accordingly these loans are sanctioned. So this is how I have spoken on these points. The major emphasis that I see here is, as individuals, you would like to know that how I can go about applying for a loan. I have an idea in mind. I want to start up my business. I want to start up my entrepreneurship. How do I go about it? How do I approach these organizations to help me? So individually, you need to be well equipped. You need to do a lot of uh, you know uh, investigation, checking into your own how you can go about helping all this, getting all these documents, and then you can apply for the same. There are a lot of institutions, there are a lot of online banking which will help you to avail of this loan, but you need to go about in a systematic manner to help to avail of these loans. This is what I have spoken about. I if in case you'll want to do connect, I mean, you can ask anything. We can go start that.
Yeah. Ma'am, I would like to ask you one question.
Sure.
While preparing the business plan, while preparing the business
Yes,
plan,
yes.
I think it's important to submit, like, who are the target customers and the uniqueness of the product.
Yes,
If,
yes.
yeah, so does a bank look into all these aspects, whether they are covered or not into a business plan?
Correct. See, when you have a business plan, you need to have what is your future revenue income which you're going to go. Because without a business plan, the banks, the organizations will not be able to know what is your repaying capacity. So if you
Okay.
have your set of basis, that only they will give you the loan. If they do not know how you're going to pay, it will not work in their favor, and it will go into an NPA. NPA is a non-performing asset. Okay, wherein they
Okay.
have given you the loan, but they cannot recover in bank. Okay. So
Okay.
wherever the NPAs are higher for a bank, it's a serious concern to banks. Okay. So banks must have every time have lower NPAs. So every business plan should need to have what is your revenue which is to be generated, what is your profits, how you're going to make these repayments which is there, what is your repayment schedule. They do check on this. How are your growth prospects, what are all this is to be disclosed of. It is in the business plan, it is very important that the individual or the must not miss out on any details.
Mm-hmm.
Say for example, I miss out, or I do not want to disclose any particular detail in my business plan, and I submit the business plan. It may be accepted at that point of time, but it can cause difficulties to the individual entrepreneur later on, because at that point, at any point of time, if in case the bank or the institution feels that this was something which was not disclosed in the business plan, then it can the bank can stop the loan payments, the schedules. So it's very important that all the details be mentioned in that.
Okay, fine. Another question, ma'am, is that is it necessary that the person who's going to apply loan
Yes.
to a particular bank should have an existing account? Is it necessary?
No, it is not necessary. But then once you apply for that, you would have to open the account. Okay. So if in case, because that's where the bank transfers the loan amount, which is there, and that is how the repayment schedule happens. But like I mentioned, if you're already having an account with a particular existing bank based on your records of your financial records, that way it will help you get a already sanctioned loan. We have the process in banks wherein every individual's accounts which is there, just basically just looking at the functioning of the account, we can give them a pre-approved kind of a loan. Okay, not just for example your business loan. It could even be your it could even be a personal loan. It could even be a vehicle loan. So basically, you're seeing the tenure of the loan, seeing the credibility of your account. These loans are already pre-sanctioned. So when the customer approaches and says that I want to apply for this amount of loan, say for example a business loan or a vehicle loan, this is already sanctioned. So it becomes much more faster for processing. So you are already at stage 3 rather than being at stage 0. So instead of I'm going to one bank where I have my account, instead of that I go to another bank where who does not have my account. They have to get all your documents, get it all verified. So then that becomes a start process again. So it becomes more easier to associate yourself with a bank where you are already having your records.
Okay. And ma'am, one more question what I have is, how much time after submitting the business plan the bank decides to sanction the loan? I mean, what is the time period they take?
Most of the banks, like I said, it is already, if in case, when I was, even checking on for these government approved loans, there are different schemes which are there, which are some of these loans which are also, get approved within 2 days time, So there is, it's as fast, maybe it may normally take around 7 days time. It depends. It's all varying factors which is there. So that is how much time it takes for an approval.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone would like to ask any questions? Yeah, ma'am. Tell me.
These are all the other students, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them yes, some of them no. Sorry, my name is Sameer Mehta. I take care of the institution. So,
hello. Yes.
It's thank you for taking time out and talking to our students. It means a lot for us.
It's my pleasure. And, it's like I said, it's always very nice to speak to budding entrepreneurs and, giving your viewpoints, giving your suggestions, which will always help them to implement. And, it feels really nice.
I assure you, we are trying to, we are also hoping of the same thing, that we are helping budding entrepreneurs. The idea behind starting this Sahas initiative was that the students at least try. That was something that was not available when we were students. That was something that has not been available up till very recently to students.
Correct.
It is said that if you want to become a businessman, you will have to take the rough road.
Yes.
But I always feel that now, particularly the entire financial setup of our country and beyond is very pro opening of business.
Correct.
And particularly, I mean, if you look at it, banks are coming out of their way, and they're trying to support people saying that I want to open my business, and banks are saying, okay, why not come to us?
Yes.
And that's how we came up with this idea that it should be very interesting if our students could benefit from this.
Yes, like I was just telling her when I started my talk, I was saying that India is one of the third largest base in startups in the world, and that happens after US and UK, where it's actually very encouraging for us. So where we do not see in our days and times, we do not have the opportunities, the financial opportunities as well. Educationally, we do not have all this equipped for us to start up with our own entrepreneurial plans. So now in today's current scenario, if they have all these opportunities backing them, they must go forth and reach out for their dreams, which will actually be very helpful. And it will be like I said, it will be a boost to the economy and boost to every individual's dreams, individual's capacity as well.
So I'm sorry, can I ask you something based on statistics? Because as a bank, I'm sure you fund a lot of businesses. In India, particularly, how many of these businesses actually succeed for a prolonged period of time?
Statistically, I wouldn't be able to say, but like I said, in banks, what they look at is, the individuals or the entrepreneurs' repayment capacity. So basis that is where the banks give or sanction their loans. So if in case the loans which are sanctioned are repaid in time, then becomes, then it's easier for the banks. Or if in case the individuals do not repay their loans, these loans which are not repaid, it becomes an NPA, that is a non-performing asset to the bank. The higher the NPAs for a bank, the banking credibility is more lesser for such banks. So
Correct.
It is always essential that, wherever startups are there, where it is the business model is, checked upon, or, there's a lot to check, and then only the loans are sanctioned. So it's not that, yes, I have a business idea in mind and all, but my financial backing should also be there. My personal financial background is there that will help me repay to the loans. And thus, therefore, the bank's NPAs will also be at a lower rate. If a bank's NPAs are lower rate, the bank will also grow. Those.
Fantastic. Now, since you said that personal financial condition also plays a very important role.
Yes.
So I'm sure CIBIL score for any individual must play an important role in collection of any bank loan.
Yes. Very important role.
Can you give my students a brief idea about how to keep their CIBIL score acceptable?
Yeah.
From a bank's perspective.
Sure, that's actually a very good question. Today's generation is a lot on your credit cards. So everybody, nobody wants everybody makes payments on credit cards. The main criteria is to have your credit card payments paid on time. There must not be any cases where your credit cards have defaulted. Apart from your credit card defaults, sometimes you do apply for a loan, vehicle loan, home loan, all wherever your payments are there, they have to be paid on time, and you must not default even on, a single payment. Try and ensure that as an individual, in your making your payments, you can ensure that you have a reminder set up, for your credit card payments, that on this date, my credit card is due. Have reminders set up so that you do not default. Because if in case you default, your CIBIL scores go lesser. So that is how you can ensure that your CIBIL scores are in track, and you are making, you're building up your personal financial background is, on a smooth end, and it will be easier for the banks to sanction such loans.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'll keep asking these questions. I hope
No. Of course. Yes.
So, CIBIL is very much a quantifiable thing. So, how is CIBIL score calculated? If you could throw some light on that, then I'm sure the students would also understand that what else to do. A lot of them do not have credit cards, very candidly speaking.
Okay.
But they have a bank accounts, and their parents, currently their parents are the ones, or the guardians are the ones who are funding them.
Okay.
And also what is going to happen is, most of them, when they decide to start out their own businesses, Indians as a culture, we always, the first person we approach is our parents.
Correct.
And ask them for funding, right?
Yes.
Does that affect a bank's understanding of whether the student, whether that person is worthy of taking the bank loan or not? So if you could throw some light on this.
No, see, for example, even in your individual account, if you do not have your credit card, of course, it's your bank account which is there. Every bank's account have a minimum balance to be maintained. Depends if it's a private sector bank, if it's a public sector bank. Even if you do not maintain that balance which is there in the account, then there is your charges which get hit into your account. If in case there is no, if in case there is a checks which are deposited, are returned, or checks which you have issued which get returned, so those are already seen in your account transactions. Okay, so these reflect in your account transactions. It does not, it would not reflect, it's on the individual capacity, and not necessarily on how the other maybe your parent is there. Of course, if it's a minor account, yes, then that depends upon the transactions in the account basis. But here, once the turns majority, it's on the individual's account. So even if you do not have your credit card, which is there are these other factors which are looked out into your account, which would understand or determine the score of the individual. So a clean maintaining your financials, keeping track of your financials, keeping track of your payments, not just your credit cards, your timely EMIs which is there, any EMI payments, even any loan payments, that will help you get a better score, and that will help you in the longer run for your payments.
Okay, so suppose I have created, maybe I've set up a small shop.
Correct.
Right? And it's not of a huge enterprise, it's a small shop. So should I continue, from a banker's perspective, what would you suggest? Should I continue banking with my own bank account over that shop, or should I have to create a different bank account which should run only in the business's name? What do you think is a better solution for me as an individual?
See, one thing you're looking at, there are two perspectives to it. One, you have your individual capacity. Second is you have your your business capacity. Okay. So as an individual capacity, we all hold savings accounts. Okay, where we have a little savings on a monthly basis, which is deposited into the account. But I'm having a small business shop. Is that the same where I can transfer the funds into the savings account? No, because that is in my professional capacity, that is in my business capacity. A savings account is what you call a bachat khata, a small a savings account where you need to maintain just your savings funds. And these funds, say an individual transfers these funds from his professional capacity into his savings accounts. This is also tracked from the bank account's end, because it's your savings account. And in a savings account, how many transactions would you do, in a month? On a monthly basis, I would do around 4 to 5 transactions. But if I was transferring funds from my professional capacity into my savings capacity, there would be around 20-25 transactions in a month, correct? So banks would automatically get a trigger that this individual is misusing the savings account. Rather, it is not using it in a current account, which is your business account. So it is required to keep these two separate, and you can always open a current account in a business capacity as well. That can also be opened in an individual name. It's not required that because it has to be opened in, in the business name. It can be opened in the individual name also, and you can do transactions in that.
I'm sorry, I'm going back to the basics, and I believe my students would also like to know. When you say a current account,
yes.
Let's say from your bank, what benefit will my business get if I open a current account? How is it better than having a savings bank account basically for a business?
So for a savings, it is as per the RBI norms itself, it is that you have to open the savings account is for individuals, and for for current account, you have to open it for your business accounts. So
Okay.
for individuals, everybody needs to have individual savings accounts with the bank. We cannot have a business account cannot be opened in a savings account, in a current account. So in a current account, when you go to any bank which you approach, they will ask you for certain documentation which is required. So a current account can be opened into a proprietorship. Proprietorship means single individual. Partnership is where you open it with 2 or 3 more partners, or when you open it as a company, as a private limited company or a public limited company. Private limited company is wherein you open with 2 or 3 individuals or more, and you register your company with the Indian Companies Act. So this is how you're opening a current account, and this is how it's different from a savings account. So savings account has to be opened for individuals only, and for current account it has to be opened for your business transactions. They can be in your business transactions. It depends. There are various kinds of current accounts which every bank has. You have a minimum, you have a maximum, because maybe the number of transactions in different accounts basis your business model would be more. So that kind of categorization, the business person can choose and select their respective kind of current accounts.
Okay. So there is actually a different variety of current accounts also, which a businessman can choose from.
Yes, of course, because that depends upon his business model, his revenue, his transactions which is there. You have minimum, you can have probably if you have more transactions, if you maintain more higher balances which is there, you get additional features. There are certain charges which are waived off, your cash transaction charges, which get waived off, transactions being done at different branches. Because if your business model is set up or is growing, you have your enterprise which is growing and you want it to expand to across the country, you can have that kind of your cash transactions happening at different parts of the country. So basis that, you can have select your type of a current account as well.
Interesting. That really enlightens me, at least, and I'm sure it helps my kids also, because for them this is the setting up stage.
Yes,
this is the time when they decide how to go outside and really plan out their actions, really plan out how they would like to lead their life. So guys, this is one brilliant example. You should understand very categorically that finances is something that you cannot play with. Fortunately, unfortunately, finance is something that you need to be absolutely thorough of. And what I usually say, and I would like Ms. Anna Marie's viewpoint on this as well. If you want to set up your business, always ensure that your personal finances, at least for another 8 months to 1 year, are already in order before you decide to segregate something out for your business. Ms. Anna Marie, what do you think? Would that be right? Or do you want to increase the time duration or decrease the time duration?
No, always it's better to start, from day one, I would say. So I wouldn't say we just start from today is where I would say that you go to keep your financials in place and keep it in track, so that whenever there is any requirement of, of checking of your financial background, it's all clear, and this will help you in the longer run. So keep ensuring that you have the balances which is maintained in the account fees, ensuring that you are paying your payments timely in time. And as youngsters, when you have that urge to spend, do think about savings as well. So, it will help you in the longer run, help you meet your financial needs, and it will be very beneficial to you. 6 months, normally what happens is whenever you're looking at, banks ask for 6 month statement, is wherever, you go. Say, for example, even you're applying for your visa, they always ask you get your last 6 month statement. Okay. So that is where they see last 6 months. So when you are said that 6 months is definitely a good duration to look at.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'll go back to the technical parts a bit. Now, when I have to, let's say I approach the bank and I have a financial plan. I am carrying a financial plan for approval for a loan. Right? Now, generally, what should my financial plan entail? Is it just my expected profits that I should be showing and the bank will be okay with it? What all will the bank look at?
So first, like I had mentioned, is wherein we have banks or institutions. It's not necessarily a bank. Okay, it can even be like an NBFC when you're going to an NBFC as well, non-banking financial institution. Like for example, you have your Bajaj Alliance or other NBFCs. You know, so these all also they support your business loans. So when you are going to them, like I mentioned to you, they ask you for what is your you just cannot go to them with a business proposal. So they
Okay.
ask you for your financials, is your last year's profit and loss statement, your last year's, at least your last year's balance sheet, last 2 years balance sheet, which is there. So I had explained to them that initially when you are looking at, and when you do not have any collateral, or when you want to when you don't have any collateral, you have an option of looking at government based funding options. Like I had given them a few options like Mudra, where online you have an example where you can apply for such loans and look at, or you have an option of going for loans with a collateral, like your property loan against property, loan against vehicle. This will help you get a finance to you. Okay, and then once then your business is set up, probably then you can look at your business loan. So then when you have your business loan is once your business is set up for say 1-2 years, and you have your assessed documents with you, you have your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your statements with you, then you can visit then you can approach and you can get the business loan category.
So from your perspective, approaching an NBFC for starting,
Yeah.
for starting the business, is it better to approach an NBFC or is it better to approach a formal bank?
See, it depends upon the individual capacity itself. Like I mentioned to you, I would say when you're starting, each individual capacity has probably, some individuals may have their own funds. They may have their backing from their parents. To these options, and then that's how their business can be set up. A comparison for that individual on whether I should go to an NBFC or go to a bank would be basis that person's individual repayment schedule, how he can repay. So it depends upon the interest rates which is there, the long term, what is the tenure. So individually, is that person able to manage that interest rate payment, manage the tenure, all this, and whether the bank or that NBFC, that institution, is ready to give that individual the loan. Because some banks are very stringent on giving loans on maybe depending upon the criteria. And NBFC may give a loan without, not looking at too much of collateral, not asking for too much of documentation. So if it is easier for that individual to get that loan from there, they would go for that. But if in case they can try and get it from their own funds, if they are able to get it from their parents' backing, financial backing, that's well and good, because they don't have that repayment point in mind.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
But like I said, it's individually, ultimately the choice would be depending upon how that individual has been able to repay, and what is the interest rates and what is the tenure of that person, his repaying capacity.
Repaying capacity would definitely make a lot of difference.
Yes.
That was very enlightening, at least from my perspective. Any other questions, students? If you have, you can put them on the chat box. Personally, ma'am will moderate the session. She will continue asking the questions.
So I'm sure ma'am, she has already explained whatever questions were rising from our end.
Okay.
Yeah, documents, legalities, she has covered with all the aspects. So thank you, ma'am. And I also would like to request our director, Mr. Samir Mehta, to give a vote of thanks to you as well.
So, Miss Anna Marie, like I said, thank you for taking time out. It means a lot to us when professionals like you decide to, help and nurture the young entrepreneurs, because they are the future. They are what is going to hold this country wherever they will be. Right. So it makes a lot of sense. And we really thank you for explaining these things to us. On a very personal note, I joined in late, but I'm sure you must understand I have my own inquisitiveness, and I will keep asking you, kept on asking you questions. Thank you for your patience in answering each of them. I'm not sure how many questions I repeated, But thank you for your patience, and thank you for talking to us like this.
Thank you.
I
so
will
much.
definitely connect with you offline as well, and I'd like to take this forward with you. Thank
Sure.
you, ma'am. Thank you for
Thank you.
taking time.
Thank you so much. It was really a nice opportunity, and like I said, it's always a pleasure to speak to the future generation. And wishing everyone all the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.